welcome back to Film School Rejects. I'm your co-host Skye Williamson, joined with...
I'm Billy Howells.
And this week we are going to be discussing the incredible director and writer and now big producer Jordan Peele. His new film he produced, is coming out this weekend, well, the weekend before. So today we are going to discuss his current movies, such as the infamous Get Out, his first comedy horror, as well as Us, another comedy horror, and then Nope,
Yes.
which I believe won some awards. It was much bigger. However, me and Billy, I don't think we liked it as much as other audiences did. Our favourite is Get Out, I believe.
Yes.
No? Yes.
I do want to say, before we get into Jordan Peele's directing filmography, I want to bring up something to do with the marketing of him, where they've really been using Jordan Peele's name to basically get people to think he's the director of him. Because if you look at the posters and the trailers of him, Jordan Peele's name is in big words, and then from producer is in very small lettering. Almost the colour of the font isn't overly visible. Like, they're really trying to get you to think that Jordan Peele directed him, but he didn't. I just wanted to kind of get that out there, because I think that's a really interesting thing that they're trying to do with it.
Yes, because I was actually talking to my co-workers yesterday about him, and they were like, oh, that's a new Jordan Peele film, no? And I was like, no.
Yes, but no.
Yes and no. He produced it, he did not direct it, and everyone that I was working with thought they were going to go see it because they thought it was a Jordan Peele directed film. I don't even know the director, because it's not, like, I remember seeing the trailer. Like, I saw the trailer in the cinema, and it's just Jordan Peele was right there.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, obviously he's produced it, he's put money to put his name there. But it is very interesting that they are using Jordan Peele to market their own film.
Yeah.
But yes, we are going to be discussing, I believe, Get Out and Us. Have you watched Nope yet?
I've seen Nope, yeah.
Okay, so Jordan Peele himself is previously mainly a comedian. He has a lot of shorts that you can find on YouTube.
Key and Peele.
And that,
brilliant.
that is his primary thing. So when he made Get Out, it was quite a shock that it was a horror comedy, which I feel like a horror comedy is very, like, useful for the topic that he is discussing in the film, which it is on the nose and it's not. I think when you know what the film's about, then it becomes on the nose, but it is, like, so graceful in the intersection of society and race, and how they are trying to use the authenticity of blackness to then increase their status in society. So I have lots of notes about, like, the symbolism in Get Out, because if you know anything about Jordan Peele, this man loves his symbolism, whether that's in comedy or in horror. So every single, like, object that is in a frame or his directing, they all have meaning. I can't break down every single second of this, because this would be double the length of the actual film, discussing the history behind everything. But it's also beautiful when a director does take their time to research everything, like, down to her when she's drinking the milk and, like, she's eating the charms, right? Even those things, to the sports they're referencing, all of these things have historical parts in it that have symbolism, and I think that's beautiful when the director takes that kind of time. But onto your opinion, Billy.
Get Out's a film I've had a weird experience with, because I've seen it on, I think, 4 different occasions now, and on each occasion I've had a different opinion / experience with it. The first time I saw it, it was, like, amongst, like, the hype of it when it first came out, and I really liked it, but I didn't quite get the hype. Like, when it got nominated for Best Picture, I was just like, I don't know if I'd have nominated it for that. Then the second time I saw it, I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. The third time I saw it, I just liked it. I thought it was I thought it had some odd directorial choices, and I thought the pacing kind of dragged. But then on this occasion, when I rewatched it, this might have been my best viewing of the movie. I adore this movie now. I think this is the most true out of any of his horror movies, that Jordan Peele has almost transferred his comedy skills over to horror. I don't necessarily mean in the sense that all Get Out has funny moments, because it absolutely does. But comedy and horror are actually more similar than people may think, because both are about, I'd say, the two main genres where if you're a filmmaker, you're really trying to get a reaction out of someone. And I think there are really transferable skills from there. I think Jordan Peele has taken what he's learnt in comedy and brought it over to horror.
Yeah, because it's all about the timing and the writing, right?
Yes.
In comedy, you need to time it perfectly to make an audience laugh, and that's also about directing that you want it to be funny, but you don't want it to be really cringy, where it's not funny anymore. And that's the same with horror, right? You need to time it right that it's a scare and it's an authentic scare, and it's not just like a jump scare, which is what Jordan Peele does brilliantly, which is why they're very transferable. And also, comedy and horror do have like a history of having a message across to their audience, and they can really deep dive into a subject without it being like too in your face.
But also, you know, talking about comedy and horror, I do think Get Out has a really great balance of these things, because I think I laughed more on this watch than I really expected to. Get Out is a surprisingly funny movie, especially with Lil Rel Howery's performance, who is just hilarious. He's not in the movie a ton, but the screen time he has, he absolutely kills it.
Is that Rod, right?
Yes.
Yeah. No, Rod is one of my favourite characters. I do have a section on him as well, but he's definitely like a driver of the story, and it wouldn't be the same like hopefulness and cheeriness that the film is without him. I mean, otherwise, then you just have this like isolated character.
Especially,
that no one knows
especially in the third act. Like, the third act needs his scenes for some kind of levity. Otherwise, it's just straight up depressing.
It's just scary.
Yeah.
So that's why we need Rod in it throughout.
That reminds me, I saw a review of Get Out. I think it was the filmmaker Rian Johnson, who made Knives Out, who made Star Wars The Last Jedi. He said something about Get Out that I found really interesting. It was something along the lines of, if Get Out existed in the world of Get Out, then Rose's parents would have told Chris they loved Get Out.
Yeah, definitely. I do like the whole Obama thing is like just so white liberalism.
Yeah.
In its totality, it's just like, oh, like, you know, this thing I can't possibly do, which is vote Obama again, and you'd never know if I actually voted for him because you can't check. But it's also like they also mentioned Tiger Woods during the party auction.
Yes.
And it's how like these black people are obviously success stories, and it's kind of like how these very high society people, because they are high society, obviously the decor of the house doesn't scream, it does scream privilege, but not super high society. And that is also what the status is of their class, is they're trying to reach this authenticity that they don't have because they don't have a history of struggle, and they just have privilege, which is why they want to host in these black bodies, so they have this like commodity that they can't otherwise have because they are just rich white people, which, as we know, they have no faces of struggle at all. But it's also like it's a selective celebration of black people. So it's like Obama, who is this president, and they like highlight his success story, and Tiger Woods of his athletic leisure in golf, which obviously is a white sport historically, especially of the business class and finance. And then we also have like Rose, who obviously we know sleeps with all these black people, whether that's men or women, that we find out, and then she takes them home.
Yeah.
So then they're stuck there. Like, that's horrible, but it's just, it's a brand.
And
really
which, by the way, that is a twist that is incredibly well executed. Like, especially Alison Williams, she plays that so well. Like, you trust her so much throughout, like, the first two acts of the movie, and then, like, once she turns, you're just like... I mean, obviously, like, on repeat viewings, I saw it coming, but even on rewatch, like, you still feel that trust.
Yeah,
and
you know
it's
I can't
played
give
so
you the
well.
keys, right, babe?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh. And she has the keys in her hand, and I'm like...
Yeah.
Oh no, this is not good at all. I think you have the development of trust when we at the start of the film we have the police scene where he wants to see the ID. Of course, on rewatch, you notice that she just doesn't want the officer to see his ID, not because it has to do with racism and like the history of police brutality, but it's more then there's a link between her and this man that's basically going to go missing and then go into a different body, right? So it's not the social justice thing that we think initially. Yeah. And that's also what he thinks when he's in the car, and he's like, that was so hot. And it's not.
Yeah.
Like, she's just using him completely.
Something Jordan Peele discussed before he made this movie while he was writing it, I think I'll be really interested to see how you feel about this, that he was really worried that white audiences wouldn't be able to connect with it, that they felt like Jordan Peele was attacking them. But I've never once got that sense from this movie.
Mm-hmm. I do also feel like, one, we have to recognise that we may have a disconnect from the audience he's discussing. Is that we are obviously British white people, right?
Yes.
Which is why some of the historical facts that I know from the movie, because I've studied American black literature, is different than what British audience would feel. And slavery in America carried on much longer than it did in Britain, because then they took it from not just those people that they kidnapped and took from Africa, but they then had them reproduce, and then they had their children, and then they kept them in all these like plantations, and it was like a generational thing. And there's still like historic cases where we have still slaves to this day in America, because they don't know that like freedom's had, right? I can't remember the most recent case, but there was one, and she hadn't been paid, and they told her that she had this debt, and she had never been outside this plantation. So it's there, it's still historically there. So I feel like, I believe that's also probably why he changed the ending, right? Because there was a different ending. So obviously we see, right, blue and black, not black, blue and red lights come out. Was Chris has escaped, right? And we all instantly have this fear that it's going to be the police. And we know this is probably not going to go well. And I remember seeing it and I'm thinking, oh, but it's the airport security, it's Rod, so it's okay. It's Rod. It doesn't have this definitive ending where we know how it ends. Like, he could easily still go to jail, and probably most likely does, even though he did what he had to do.
Well, it's also, Rose in that final scene, she's still trying to, have that almost privilege. Like, even when she's just laying there dying, like, she's still trying to have that upper hand.
I'm just like an innocent. I'm your girlfriend. I'm still innocent, and she's like trying to make that face at him.
Well,
like, you're killing your
not even
girlfriend.
just to Chris, but even as Rod steps out of the car, like, she's basically trying to frame Chris.
Yeah.
And up until the last minute, and I think that's a really interesting decision that Jordan Peele made.
Yeah. So I do prefer that we have the airport security pull up rather than the police. He did discuss it. I think he said, I can't remember exactly what he said. He said that with everything that's going on with Bruce brutality and black men, he wanted more of a hopeful ending, which I think it does when it's airport security. No, Rose is a difficult one, because she does so well at being sweet, and I think all the family members do besides the brother. I think the brother is quite obvious.
Yeah, I think, like, from the very first moment you see him, that's the first time you're just like, especially on the first watch, you're just like, okay, there's got to be something up with this family.
Yeah, and I think it's his first line, I can't remember exactly, but he uses slang straight away, and then you go. But I think it also does show like an interesting characteristic of society expectations, right? Like, we know she's his girlfriend, and she's not going to be like that because she's like a white woman, and they already have a subclass. The parents are older. He has his wife right there, and he's trying to be more progressive for his daughter. The son, who has no obligation to this man, to be nice, to be polite, to hide anything, he's just upwards and mean about it.
Yeah.
He has no reason. Even if I imagine he gets something out of the amount of money this whole operation makes, but he has no need to be polite.
Well, I think kind of going back to what I was saying about Jordan Peele being worried about whether white audiences would connect with it, I think, especially the third act, there's such a strong element of satire. Like, it is very funny. Even as someone, I guess it's making fun of me and you in terms of our race. The fact that we can find that funny, I think it's hysterical.
Oh no, as soon as the Obama line came out, I was like, this sounds like every single older person I've ever met at any convention, when they're like trying to prove themselves. Like, no, I have black friends. I know black people. Yeah.
Well, it's also like the whole brain replacement thing.
Yeah.
Like, that, I think, is just brilliant writing.
I think it's hilarious. It's also like the sense of awkwardness that I think adds to the humour.
Yeah.
But then his perfect timing also adds to horror, like the moments of silence and everything. My favorite part, and part I really want to talk about, is the person that wants to host in Chris's body, which is obviously the art dealer, which is why it's important with the auction. It's in like an art style.
Yes.
But it's this art and photography theme that from the very first instance that we meet Chris Washington, you see these like prints of his photography all around his apartment, which is photographed in black and white. But there's also this camera that is like an extension of himself and his photography work, and he's kind of holding it like his safety net throughout the film. And it's this camera, when he flashes it, that awakes these hosts. Like it's with I think it's Logan and Walter. As soon as there's a flash,
Walter,
I think one is on his phone, the other one's with his camera.
Yes.
And that's really scary. And when he flashes it, and then Logan wakes up at the party, he's like, I swear I knew him. Like in that moment after the flash.
Doesn't his nose start
bleeding
bleeding as well? Yeah.
Yes, because it's just waking up. But Hudson, the art dealer, obviously he's blind, and we can tell that. So in the video, when he's sat in the chair, he's discussing how he wants his eyes, he wants to see through his eyes. So it's not only that he wants this body and he wants these eyes, he also wants this photography because he's this art dealer. And it's like he just wants more of him, and he just wants to make this artwork. And the film itself is like a passive effect of the audience. Like he's taking a photo all around, but it's like how the audience is kind of passive as well in watching this film. And it's kind of just the smugness of like, back to the, I would have voted for Obama, or, you know, I really care about black art.
Yeah.
But he wants to profit off this story that isn't his. And obviously no one in the world would know that Chris Washington has a white man inside him. Like, we're not going to know that. So it's just using that. But yeah, no, I really do enjoy the film. I think it has a good message, but it's also comedy enough that it's not too on the nose. I feel like I've watched it 7 times now.
I've said it 4 times now.
I really do like Jordan Peele. Us, however, I've only seen 3 times.
I've now seen Us twice, including the time I watched it like 2 days ago. Us, for me, is a mixed bag. I think it has some really brilliant elements, and then other elements that just do not work. It's 100% a more ambitious movie than Get Out. Like, it is, like, this movie throws everything at the wall. Jordan Peele had a lot of ideas for this. I think the biggest strength in Us lies in the family bond. You really, especially Lupita Nyong'o, who should have got an Oscar nomination for her performance here, but she is brilliant, and the bond between this family, you care about them, and you know, the first act of this movie in general, I think, is fantastic. It sets up the horror really well. There's this real intrigue as to, especially the opening scene, as to what happened to her character, and she plays like the PTSD element of it really well. And yeah, I just really felt for her character, and I wanted her to really help her family through this. But for me, the film kind of falters a bit in its second act, because I think because I loved that family element of the first act so much, they kind of get split up in the second act. Like it's the mum and the youngest kid, then the daughter's on her own, then the dad. So for me, it just lost a bit of momentum because of that.
I did like Us. I did. It's definitely creepier than Get Out, I'd say initially. I think I have a difficulty with the story sometimes. Like, one, I do like the entire story. However, it would have been creepier to leave it alone in some elements. With the third act. The performances are fantastic. Definitely at the start, we get the very creepy bit, and then you get humor, and then this humor like fizzles out, and then it's just like you're left with creepy.
Yeah.
Is how I would describe the film. And that's done intentionally. That's not Jordan Peele just can't be funny, right? He's done it intentionally. I also would like, and this feels like more of a director link, is I also like the rabbits in this movie. And I want Jordan Peele to continue having rabbits in every single movie. Because I'm going to be honest, a white rabbit with red eyes is very creepy. And I did like that.
I think there is like an animal link between all of Jordan Peele's movies, because Get Out had the deer, Us has the rabbits, then when we get on to Nope, there's horses, and there's another animal as well. I can't remember what it is. It's really annoying me now. But yeah, Jordan Peele definitely has this fascination between horror and animals.
Well, I do like it because it is a prey and hunter thing, right? Because you have this originally family. Well, you are going to do spoilers. So this original family plus the daughter. The daughter is switched early, isn't she? Like, that's my thing. Like, she was switched. Like, she's not part of the original family anymore. Like, 95%. That's the point. It kind of confused me. In the reveal, I couldn't tell if the daughter did switch or not. I couldn't tell that part.
I think this movie's trying to be a bit more like ambiguous and Get Out.
Yeah, and I don't mind the ambiguous part, but then I'm a little bit confused. When I first watched it, I remember watching it in cinema, I was like, I'm really confused. Like, I am just confused.
Yeah, like, the first time I saw it, I remember loving the first two acts and then not being sure at all what to think of the third act.
As soon as it opened, and it was like, it's not a circus, what's it? Fun fair.
Fun fair, yeah.
I was like, get me out.
Yeah.
Just get me out right now.
And then the Hall of Mirrors.
As soon as I'm like in a film and I'm like, Stephen King would love this. Stephen King would look at this and go, give me a pen and paper right now. I think, get me out, right? No, that's what I felt with The Conjuring as soon as there was a mirror scene. Don't do mirrors. I hate mirrors and doubles, which is the problem, right? This entire film is mirrors and doubling. And I think it's great as like a character creepiness. Yeah. But it definitely leans into horror cliches. Which I think
this is more of a straight up horror movie than Get Out was. I think Jordan Peele said that himself, that he was going for, because Get Out is kind of a combination of things, whereas this has comedy moments, but really this is a straight up psychological horror.
Completely. I mean, it's completely terrifying, the idea that there is this entire underworld of people that we don't know exist. Yeah. And it's like, I can't remember, it's a scientific experiment, which obviously has its own historical tones with the black community in America, and they have been used quite a lot for science experiments, and they've been left out a lot in hospital education. It's Jordan Peele. I think you are supposed to rewatch Jordan Peele. Yes. In my opinion. So maybe it's something you pick up on the second time if you don't watch it the first time and realize. But the scissors and the rabbit creep me out. And also the fact it's like rusty scissors. Yeah. It really does give the horror elements. Also the colour shift between Get Out and Us is very different, which is also what leans into like the horror element. What was your opinion on the director's style between those two films?
Well, this is the thing that like Get Out, I think, is the far better movie. But I think in terms of like the technical aspects, like the cinematography, the directing, the editing, I think Us is like Jordan Peele has really become more confident as a director. Like, he takes a lot more swings in Us. I think he's more confident with the camera and having longer takes. So yeah, I think probably Us. It's hard to say better directed because again, I think Get Out is so much more of a better movie. But I do think that Jordan Peele kind of came into his own a bit more as a director, and he's finding his footing.
I think also you have obviously the progress from a comedy to comedy horror, and then settled in this horror, which I think I do like, and it shows like his progression, because it's like, I can do horror, but this is a comedy, and now I can do horror. Like, you've seen horror before, I'm gonna give it to you a different way. I did like the film. I think it's brilliantly acted. It's not as high on my Letterboxd. And there's also the interesting fact when I go on Letterboxd. Okay, and this is gonna sound like bad, right? I have like 32 people on Letterboxd. When I went on to Get Out, 18 people have seen this film that I know. That's very, very high on Letterboxd. Most of the time I look at it and it's like 4 or 5 people have seen this film, which is what happened with Us, right? Get Out, every single film person I know has seen and reviewed this film. Like, obviously, people have probably seen us, but they haven't gone on Letterboxd and reviewed it that I know. So I felt that there's definitely like a historical difference in what was. Get Out is so much more of a cultural impact.
I was literally
film.
about to say, Get Out has far more of a cultural impact.
It's a massive film for Jordan Peele. Nope was, I feel like it was definitely discussed more in media that I could see. It was in newspapers a lot because Jordan Peele is now this household name.
I also think as well that like Get Out was so much more of a surprise. Like no one saw Get Out coming. Like I remember, like this may sound pretentious for like a God, how old was I when Get Out came out? Like I was 13, 14 years old. Like for my whole life, I've been obsessed with like movie release dates, when movies coming out, blah blah blah. And I remember looking at like the release calendar for 2017, like late 2016, and seeing a movie called Get Out, directed by Jordan Peele. And I knew who Jordan Peele was at the time. I saw it was directed by Jordan Peele. I looked at it and went, it's a January horror movie. It's going to come and go. It's not going to get good reviews. People are just going to forget about this movie. But no one has.
Everyone knows what Get Out is.
Yes.
Like I mentioned Jordan Peele, the word Get Out comes out next. Most people, they go, oh, I wanted to watch Us, but I just didn't get around to it. So Get Out is definitely associated with Jordan Peele, which is interesting that they're using him for the marketing of him.
After Get Out, Jordan Peele had a lot more pressure on him with Us. And then going into Nope, he had even more pressure on him because Nope is the biggest budget of his career. He shot this movie on IMAX or with IMAX cameras.
It was everywhere. The marketing of Nope was everywhere. The marketing of Us was only towards Jordan Peele fans. Marketing of Nope was everywhere. Like I saw it on buses. It was on every single like trailer you watched for the cinema. So the marketing budget was 10 times higher than any of his other films. Yeah.
And then I feel similarly to Nope as I did with Us. That it is a mixed bag. It has a really strong start. I think the setup with these siblings living on a farm and weird stuff kind of starts to happen. I've really, really strong setup. But the issue with Nope for me is that it has far too many ideas. It's trying to do so much at once, and it just doesn't really come together in the right way, and it just makes it drag, to be honest.
Because I do feel like Jordan Peele has a lot of ideas, and you can tell that in each of his films, but has worked enough in the other films where it didn't work.
One thing I forgot to say about Get Out versus Us is that, like, yes, Get Out has a lot of ideas like Us did, but Get Out was always going, like, every idea in Get Out is heading towards a message or a commentary. Whereas Us, it never really felt like that, and I never really got that from Nope either. I'm always going to be excited for a Jordan Peele movie because he is such a unique voice, and, you know, you're never going to see anything like a film he's making.
But he's also had a few years, right? So I feel like maybe he's been writing. I'm hoping I kind of do prefer when directors take time between their projects, because then I feel like it's really shown that they've cared and they've put a lot more thought into it. And I think they wanted some more awards from Nope than they did, so I feel like he has that pressure. So I feel like he's probably taken that time.
That's the thing. Like between Get Out and Us, it was like 2 years. So Jordan Peele must have gone right from Get Out into Us.
Right into it.
And then like the break between Us and Nope was 3 years, but that includes COVID. So that I think they shot pretty much in the midst of COVID for Nope. So even so, I don't think Jordan, between the 3 movies he's directed, I don't think Jordan Peele has had a huge break. You know, now we're coming up to over 3 years since Nope came out, and we don't even know when Jordan Peele's next movie is coming out. So, and I like you said, I hope that's a good thing. I hope he's kind of, because the thing is, Nope wasn't bad, like, and it didn't get a bad reception. I just think that people were expecting a bit more from it, and maybe Jordan Peele's kind of reevaluating what he wants to make after that, or maybe he is just taking his time to really make it great. I hope it is the latter, because
yes, I hope so.
yeah, I really want to see another Jordan Peele film that is on the level of Get Out. Anyway, so thank you for listening / watching. You can catch us on Spotify, on YouTube, and also on TikTok for highlights. I've been Billy Howells.
I've been Skye Williamson.
And goodbye.
Goodbye!